everybody. Thank you to all of you for joining us. I see quite a lot of you. And today me and the team have put together some tips to help your organization boost donations. So hopefully there will be some interesting takeaways for all of you to take. I'll try my best to give you a well-stopped tour in about 40 minutes and answer as many of your questions as possible. And before I dive in, just wanted to acknowledge our partners who helped us put together this webinar, the Public Interest Registry, and they are the non-profit organization that powers the .org domain name worldwide. They have more than 11 million domain names. But what essentially they do is that they maintain the highest standards in policies, practices, technologies. And for charities, they support and educate all nonprofits about their online presence, and they have tons of great content on how you can better use digital fundraising, things and top tips around cybersecurity, about data. So there's loads of resources they have. You can check their .org Learning Center, and everything is obviously free to access. So a big thank you to them. And yeah, so as Angela said, we'll cover a few things: how your website drives fundraising, multi-channel engagement, and top tips for the email marketing, and then how to reap the benefits of your social media channels, especially when it comes to awareness days. And obviously, with the cost on the rise and services more in demand than ever, charities, us as a sector, we're used to finding new ways to maximize our fundraising potential. The latest benchmark and the latest report from Blackboard shows that 29% of the responding charities saw their voluntary income decrease last financial year, whilst it remained the same for about 17% of the other respondents. I don't know in which categories you find yourself, but we are acutely aware of the need to keep fundraising and attain our fundraising goal. And one thing that really underpins people donating to your cause, supporting your cause, is trust. And essentially, what do we mean by trust? We mean, how you as a sector, us as a sector, the civil society sector, much of what drives fundraising comes down to building trust. The Charity Commission of England and Wales showed a public trust in charities at its record high in 10 years. So charities score about 6.5 out of 10 for trust, with 58% of people saying they have high trust in charities. And this is also corroborated by another report, which if you know Charity Digital, you may be familiar with. It's the Attendees Donor Post report, with about 3/4 of their respondents saying they have either moderate or high trust in good causes. And also, what's important is that people are generally more loyal to causes than charities, and there's a strong sense that they own their donation. So when we're looking at, when you look at how you portray your organization and the cause that you are representing and fighting for, it's really important to really showcase that, because that's what people will mostly focus on. And the cornerstone of trust really is your website. And essentially, another report, the Charity Digital Skills Report from 2024, showed that the top digital priority for charities is to build online presence and social media engagement. So 54% of the surveyed charities see this as a priority, and 48% say that growing the reach is their top priority. So it's all the same. It's all about your online presence and the social media and how you can engage better and more with your supporters. And essentially, a good charity website, what does it do? It's all about making life easier for your supporters, for your potential donors, and for your service users as well, because you can raise awareness of the cause and you can improve the way your charity delivers its support, its services. And obviously it drives, a good website drives donation and builds trust between you and your supporter. For example, when people donate to your website, it's you that decide, that has control over, how that's done and what happens next between you and your donor. Um, so, when you think about, looking at your website, improving your website, it's important to know what your audience wants and, what how do they get from A to B on your website, and ideally, how do they end up donating? So this could include, obviously, ensuring that your website is accessible. That means having the right color contrast, for instance, or having ways to perhaps translate parts of your website. We've been hearing from our great partners around the accessibility of website, and we have loads of resources to make your website more accessible. There's also a way to perhaps make your key stats more visible. What you do every day, what does that enable you to achieve for your cause, maybe highlighting that a little bit more. And then, as obviously making the donate button large and clear and easily visible. We've recently published an article about the best charity website, and we just wanted to share a couple of examples here. Hopefully you can see a couple of examples here. Obviously those are big charities, but there are some key elements that I think any charity website could adopt. And the first one is Samaritans. They have a new website. They went through a wider brand refresh, and they made their website more accessible, easier to navigate in order to appeal to a wider audience. It includes a detailed guide on how to help someone who needs support, but the prominence is given to the key message, which is, we are waiting for your call. On the top right hand side is two simple button: donate now, contact a Samaritan. So really, really, really putting this back to the simplest, to the clearest and cleanest on white background. Either as a supporter you can donate, or if you're in need of our services you can contact us. And then there are also other ways about them, how to support us, how we can help. On the right hand side is Parkinson's UK website. And they said that they've experienced loads of growth in digital-led income as a result of a redesign of their donation journey. So as you can see, again, the most visible button really is the donate button, because it is yellow on a darker background. But there are also loads of other information, like how you can shop on their, on online shop and online charity shop, forum, if you are, suffering from Parkinson's disease, or have part of a family member, you can access the forum. So they're also making it very easy to take action very quickly. And essentially, also on Parkinson's website, you can check it out, and I'm sure on loads of other websites. What was really interesting was two things. The first one, you can see it a little bit here, is asking for experience, asking for feedback, which is a key to understand how your donors, your potential donors and supporters behave. And they were also providing on their donation page different options for methods of payment. So in Parkinson's case, they were adding an option for American Express, for Visa, for PayPal. So those were things that were made in order to make the experience as seamless as possible. And you should create the ability to change the donation amount. You can prioritize convenience with multiple recognizable payment options. And one of our other partners, iRazer, actually sums it up. People coming to your website for the first time will be much happier to donate a higher amount if their experience is good. So, a good experience means no friction, clear design, clear branding, loads of options for donating, and realistically, people trusting you because they see that it's all clear, they understand everything, and there's a lot of options for them to engage with you and support you. They are most likely, perhaps able to give a little bit more. So you shouldn't be afraid to, for instance, recommend specific donation amounts. Um, in the case of Parkinson's, they showed an example of what a £50 donation, I think it was £50 donation, would contribute to. So that could be also a very clear, simple example of what a donation can help achieve. Another point which is quite interesting, and I'll quickly provide some details, and we can put some more details in our resources. But donors are 45% more likely to remember the name of the charity they donate to if they do so directly through the website, through the charity's website. Of course, there's brilliant consumer giving pages that are here that that do absolutely amazing things and help to raise loads of funds. What is very important is to ensure that your website also does a great job at attracting donations and can retain people within your website. So something called charity brand recall is very simple, basically. It says that when asked if they remember the name of the charities they last donated to, people were 81% more likely to do so if they had given directly through the charity website, as opposed to just 56% if it was through a consumer giving platform. That's slightly, these stats are a couple of years old. They're from the Attendees give Donor Post report, but we're pretty sure that they are still very relevant nowadays. So again, interesting. Ask yourself the questions: what is our website donation journey? Is there anything that we can do to improve, make things a little bit clearer? So that would be one of our tips. And other elements that can make your website trustworthy is looking a little bit at your analytics. Google Analytics is your friend here, and essentially there are two rates to look at. The first one is bounce rate. So bounce rate is when the website visitors leave your site after visiting a single page. So if your bounce rate is really high, then it might be a case that people don't find the information they wanted just by looking at your web page. And similarly, a conversion rate helps you identify areas of friction within your user journey. So if you have loads of people who go onto your web page, and then but that doesn't translate into more donors, then surely something is preventing them from taking the next step. Remember that your website is the first impression that people get from your organization. So it determines whether your users want to stay or whether they want to go. And obviously, we're talking in a context of donors and supporters, but that's also similar for your beneficiaries. Trustpilot recommends 7 key ways that organizations can make their website more trustworthy. The first one is obviously the design. If your website is modern, looks modern, if it's visually consistent with, the same colors all the way around, if it's easy to navigate, there's not too much text, but quite a lot of imagery, clear calls to action, again, if it is accessible, and if it is fast to load as well. Your contact details should also be easy to find, easily discoverable, because really it makes it easier for supporters to trust the credibility of your cause. Have you ever had a look at whether you could be easily reachable by phone if somebody wanted to make a donation over the phone? Is it easy for them to call you and to find somebody to speak to and perhaps make a donation that way? The third is social proof. So it's essentially word of mouth. You can have perhaps a Trustpilot score or supporters reviews, or that sort of elements that just add because other people's know have been familiar with your cause and your charity, then it gives a little bit more, even more credibility, rather, should I say, even more credibility to your message. Privacy policies and terms of use, it's important for compliance and also, again, for credibility. You want to be seen as an organization that behaves responsibly. If you can, it's also very good to add some certifications, badges. Obviously, Cyber Essential is one, but fundraising regulator logo as well. Perhaps the Quality Care Commission. So there's a lot of other displays of trust that you can show on your website, usually at the bottom of your website. It's important to keep your content fresh and not over rely on stock imagery. So it's for not only your images, but also your text, because people coming to your website will trust you to provide the most up-to-date information about yourself, about your cause, your events, whatever you do on a daily basis to support your cause. So it's very important for it to keep it updated. And then perhaps the more obvious, but it's anything that shows that you are human. Are you showing the faces of your team, if possible, obviously? Is there a section where members of your team photos are displayed so that it makes it easy for people to connect? And it's also, adding to your unique tone of voice. And, it's not about being trustworthy for our own sake, but also from a cybersecurity perspective. Cyber criminals have been known to spoof charity website. I don't recall the exact names, but something as simple as entering, making a spelling mistake in your charity name. There are some criminals that get the same similar looking domain names and that use it as a spoof to your website, for your website. So it's important to make sure that your website is the only source of truth about your charity. And it's important to rely on more than just your logo. So domain names are a good way to showcase that trust and communicate trustworthiness. So a recognizable domain name, like your organization name in full, that creates a sense of trust and authority, again, if possible. Visitors that go onto charity website are more likely to see that you are trustworthy. It's your .org or the .org.uk. Without looking at your site, they know straight away who you are and what you do. To ensure security for your website, you can check out the .org Learning Center, and PIR recommends accredited registrars for the domain names like .org, .charity, .giving, .foundation. So there's a lot of resources out there for you to understand a little bit more, and also obviously on our website, on PIR website, but also you can ask, if you are in touch with any design agency, they can also provide some information around that. Your IT team or your external IT providers can help with that. Moving on to obviously a second part of our presentation. As a summary, we'd say that donors are more likely to donate to a website that looks reputable and makes it easy for them to give. That 73% of people that state they have either moderate or high trust in charities say that they trust and they hear directly from charities and their website. That's the first source of information that they go to. So if your URL, your branding, the donor experience and the supporter experience is well aligned, people are more likely to remember and to come back to your website. We recognize, obviously, that overhauling your website is not possible. Resources, time, skill, but there are a lot of ways for charities, for you for you to do so on a budget, and to make really, really small tweaks and already see perhaps hopefully loads of changes. We'll put in our resources tab loads of articles that you can check out on our website on how to, to make quick tweaks to your charity website, or what could good look like. Now, we know that website can drive digital donations, but what about the other channels? Because it's all good and well to have a great website, but you also need to be able to reach to your supporters in different ways. Obviously, social media and email marketing being the key elements there. And it's important to offer flexibilities and allow supporters to interact with you according to their preferences. Whether that is, phone or email, website, or even paper. So it's really important to get to understand, how your donors and your supporters want to engage with you, and then you can see where you should put effort. We see 61% of all donations in the last 3 months were made online, and that's another key stats from the Attendees report. But more essentially, it's all about understanding your own donors and how their behavior changes over time. And essentially, it's perhaps, for instance, looking at another report that says that the overall amount donated to charities was up by more than £1 million between 2022 and 2023. However, the increase was facilitated by some donors giving more on average, rather than more people in general giving to charity. So maybe that's an opportunity for you to engage with, higher income donors, understand who they are and what sort of information they'd like to know about you and your cause. And perhaps it could be about asking also your supporters and donors whether they would be comfortable contributing more on a monthly basis. You never know. So long as you provide the flexibility, if they would like to pause, as a direct debit, then it should be possible as well, because we're fully aware of, the financial situations of many of our supporters, and offering that flexibility will go a long way in ensuring they keep supporting you in the long term. Essentially, yeah, it's about asking sensitive questions by email. We'll see it later, and prioritize your donors' convenience. And also, as we were saying earlier, if the whole process is seamless and works really well, you shouldn't be afraid to ask for more on the donation page. And because it's all about trust, and it's all about also understanding where people are, why people are joining you. And essentially, speaking of, personalizing and understanding your donors' behavior, I think we can definitely move to emails, because this channel alone drives a lot of fundraising and a lot of support and a lot of engagement in general. Did you know that email marketing results in 1/3 of online fundraising revenue? That's according to the platform called Salsa. And organizations are 6 times more likely to get a click through from an email than they are from Twitter, for instance. The success of fundraising emails can also come down to demographic. And there's another piece of research that reveals that, Gen X Gen X action were more likely to be prompted by email, and that it happened in 31% of their donations. So Generation X, if I'm correct, is would there be the people aged between 40 and 60? I'm not even sure. 50 more, I think. But essentially, it just shows how important email can be for your cause and help your message further as well. So, it's all good and well to talk about, how email are important, but let's get into a few tips here. And the first element here we could say is that your emails need to be segmented, meaning that they're based on the data you collect about your email recipients, like past event signups or membership data, or whether they did a gift or any information they provided. You've also obviously made sure that people have given their consent and that your form is short and sweet. So you know who they are, what they like to hear about, and you don't ask too many questions. The key element here is to have up-to-date data. And if you have a lot, you can maybe have a look at specific software, Experian or Melissa, that can help you sort through loads of data and help you update it. Also, your email are personalized because donors will feel more compelled to give following an emotional response, like being called by their name, or if you are able to sign the donation ask with a member of your team. It's also good to include your voice and your specific tone of voice. And finally, your emails are respectful. It's easy to unsubscribe from them in one click with a clear button. And if possible, ask feedback. So you can offer the opportunity to your email recipient to say which content they've enjoyed the most and whether if there's any content that they were hoping to see that hasn't been included, because that just enables you to improve and to hear from them, really. You probably know that because we've been talking about it for quite a while, but people spend on average 9 seconds reading an email. So you have to catch your reader's attention. You have to communicate something that's clear, and you need to enable them to take action in 9 seconds. But there's a lot of things you can do, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that you already do. And please share in the chat what the tips you have to make sure that people really interact with your emails, whether they are emails about your cause, about what you do, or emails like thank you emails or welcome emails, or emails about an ask. And you can start with a powerful subject line. 47% of people open an email solely based on the subject line, according to research. So your powerful subject line can be 9 words or less than 60 characters. Ask a question. Have the words a sense of urgency, like now or today. If you can avoid the use of emojis, we know that sometimes it works well, depending also on the type of demographic you're engaging with. The issue is that sometimes emoji can be blocked, can flag your email as a spam. If your recipients are using a screen readers, it might not work out. So, you can use them sparingly. And make sure that your subject line conveys what's actually in the email. You can also write a first sentence that packs a punch because this is sometimes appearing even before somebody opens an email. You should break your email into clear sections, as you can see in the examples, 3 to 4 sections, a few sentences in each. And then more importantly, the single call to action, as you can see in Save the Children, is on the top right-hand side. In Charity Water is at the bottom, but it's a button. You can see it as it's highly visible within the email. You can also put your donation ask at different in different sections of your email. At the top, middle, and bottom. Hopefully these tips were valuable, and I'm really hoping that we have loads of very gifted marketers and fundraisers in our audience today. So please do also share some additional tips. And what is really important in the email marketing realm is to keep trust front of mind. So I won't get into too much detail because essentially, for those of you who are already using an email marketing platform, You will just need to ensure that what you are using or what you will be using is offering this acronym, like, Sender Policy Framework, SPF, DKIM, which is Domain Keys Identified Email, and DMARC. Essentially, your subscribers' email inbox need to know it's really you sending the email from your own domain, that it's all secure, it all looks legit, it will be whitelisted, and it will come into the right inbox. You should obviously make it easy to unsubscribe. So ensure your email marketing platform automatically updates unsubscribes and removes them from any list. There's nothing worse than receiving an email again, even though you said you weren't subscribing. And then you need to ensure that your emails are not treated as spam, like, removing trigger words, making sure that your branding is very visible, is the first thing that people see, and almost perhaps having a double opt-in approach. If somebody has decided to find out more from you and potentially donate, you can ask them again, when they receive the email saying that they've signed up to your newsletter. You can send them an automated email to click on a link to verify that they do indeed want to be subscribed and added. And you can use spam checker tools like Mail Tester or Unspam to just make sure that your emails are being, reaching the right people. So we've seen, the trust element of your website, of your email marketing, and now social media. So how you can reap the benefits of your social media, it's mainly by focusing on when your donors are. Because what we've seen is that, for instance, 90% of donors found out about the charity they gave through social media. And 55% of people who engage with nonprofit on social media end up taking some sort of action, donating, perhaps volunteering, perhaps signing a petition, so there's some sort of action there. So it's a valuable tool for your fundraising, but it should always be aligned with your overall fundraising strategy. So the most important is consider your demographic, the people who are already engaging with you, and the people you also want to reach more. And crucially, we would say that it's best to choose 2-3 platforms that work best for reaching them, and consolidate your effort and learn from it and be really, really good rather than spreading yourself too thin. It gives your team also the time to get to know platform and stay abreast of functionality updates, because there's so many. It's also good for you to conduct a social media channel audit. What are you doing already? What is working well? Where are you seeing the most interaction, the most clicks, and the most impressions? What is also quite interesting is perhaps to compare yourself to similar organizations by a benchmarking tool. So there's one called Charity Digital Benchmark, the Blackboard Status of UK Fundraising Report, and you can compare yourself. And that can be helpful in determining which social media platform or which strategy is successful for others, and if this tallies with your current results. If AI can also help you uncover some trends and pattern in your social media content. If you, for instance, feed some stats of what you're seeing on your social media channel, and ask perhaps some AI feature or element to help you make sense of that information. Whilst obviously I talked about AI, one of the key trends that we're going to see is because there's such a proliferation of perhaps false information or non-human content, there's a strong interest and support for authenticity. And obviously, as we know, authenticity links to higher trust and a better relation with your supporters. So we're seeing that remaining authentic, having your authentic tone of voice will definitely go a long way. And also that's valid for social media. It allows people to interact with the real version of you, of your org, and of your staff and your volunteers. So the trust factor here is even more prevalent. But you if you want, you should carry on using AI, because if AI is helping you to generate copy, there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. Quite, the opposite. So long as you apply human oversight to everything it produces, it can be a powerful tool to help you create the right content on those social media. Another trend that we are seeing even more is short form video content. If you follow us on social media, you will see my face quite a lot, actually. But you will see quite a short form videos that we've been producing, and we're seeing loads of engagement with that. And I'm pretty sure there's loads more charities that are doing the same. Almost 3/4 of social media users prefer to watch short form videos to learn more about a product or service. And it's easily shared, it's easily digestible, and it can also quickly start essential conversations and raise awareness. And it's powerful to reach a new audience. About 59% of Gen Z are inspired to donate to a charity by a message or an image they have seen on social media. It's not about just younger people. Millennials too are active on their phone and respond best to text message and social media. So again, it's about understanding where your supporters are, what type of content they are consuming. There's so many social media platforms to choose from, and it doesn't mean stretching across all of them either. Hootsuite published some research recently, and it showed that at least 2/3 of the nonprofit they, surveyed were confident that Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn were delivering a positive ROI for their organization. So I suppose this is the case for many of us in here. So really, really, because obviously I'm conscious of time, it's really important to give you a quick overview. What do we have? Facebook, 50 million people in the UK alone, you are active on Facebook. It's a great place to build a community. It's perfect for peer-to-peer fundraising, event fundraising, or even engaging with volunteers. The primary reason people use the platform, according to that same Hootsuite report, is to message family and friends. And they usually are the best people that can support a fundraiser for your cause. So it's a great place for fundraising. YouTube and Twitch are the second biggest platform behind Facebook, and there's mostly consumption of training content, video, obviously. And NPS Source explains that 60% of people who watch non-profit videos end up donating. And 2/3 watch a similar video in the next 30 days. So it's really powerful if you have loads of video content that you are able to release and produce. It's a powerful platform for that. Twitch is perfect for live streaming. That doesn't mean only gaming. It can mean, knitting, cooking, crocheting, taking care of your plants, etc. So there's gardening, there's loads of things you can do that can help you engage with your supporters and raise more funds via live streaming. There's an example of the British Red Cross with a Harry Potter quiz, live stream fundraiser, and I'm pretty sure there are plenty of other examples. Maybe you can share some more in the chat. Instagram is great for user-generated content, whether that's from your volunteers or whether that's from some of your beneficiaries. It's great for appeals, and 75% of Instagram users end up taking action. So like visiting a website or making a purchase after looking at an Instagram advertising post. So, are you making the best of Instagram? It's also about Instagram stories. If you are able to um, create more short form videos on Instagram, you can consider that when using them to fundraise. And essentially, it's important to add your own caption when doing so, so people will recognize you more. It allows you to put more context and increase the likelihood of people actually clicking and visiting your page. LinkedIn is great for volunteering or corporate fundraising to find some corporate partners for your cause. There are more than half of charities that are on LinkedIn worldwide, and LinkedIn members are 56% more likely than the average internet user to donate to a charity. So again, are there ways you can engage a bit differently on LinkedIn? It usually allows for a little bit more text, a little bit more, perhaps a more formal tone. So it might be great to look more into that. Last but not least, TikTok, which is an excellent channel to engage younger donors because the majority of users are between 16 and 25. And it can be a mix of positive messages, interviews about issues for your cause, or simple trends. The RNLI has a really interesting TikTok presence. They joined in 2022, and the strategic social media manager Athar Abidi said that TikTok gives them the chance to reach and resonate with a new audience. And they post content on a mix of life-saving tips, footage of the Coast Guard on mission, behind the scene content. So it's really a mix to just make them, again, more authentic, more approachable. So essentially, tone of the content you post on social media will be key. If you remain authentic, if you are clear about who you are trying to engage with, then it will go a long way. Don't try to do everything at once. Focus on the most important channel. I think that's the key here. And people will find you because it's often a game of being consistent and authentic. And obviously, as part of your social media activity, you should make the most of awareness days. And the objective is to create moments that build momentum. It can be costly to just create social media campaign, dedicated ones. And sometimes it's good to get some awareness days to amplify your message. It helps you to engage with potential donors at a time when interest in your cause is highest. Loads of content will be produced around that awareness day, not only you, but others too. So it creates a thunderclap of information that amplifies your cause. And awareness day educates us on specific issues, illnesses, and events. They allow you to explore a particular topic and invite your supporters to engage. So there's plenty of awareness days that you're probably aware of. The one I will specifically talk about is Giving Tuesday, because Giving Tuesday, which is this year on the 3rd of December, is a sector-wide fundraising drive after Black Friday. And so some research from Hootsuite showed that Giving Tuesday activated up to 60% more donors over the whole end of year giving season. So it's always important to see it as part of a larger fundraising strategy. And as Kathleen Murphy from Giving Tuesday team points out, it's not about just posting Give to us because it's Giving Tuesday. It could be running a photo series, produce a live stream that goes behind the scene, create Instagram short, reels, short stories, or TikTok if this is where your audience is on. Start a challenge for your community to share on their own social page why they support you. So it's all about creating a nice noise around your cause, around Giving Tuesday, and that's a great opportunity to do that. And finally, what we talked about in terms of social media, it's all about having, social media strategy, like a content planner, which can provide you with an overview of your upcoming social media activity because what's coming. The key dates that you need to post around, the key dates where you want to do fundraising appeals, and you can stay ahead of schedule, really. You can plan new content around what your organization needs, and it allows you to track which content performs best and recreate it for different topics. So it enables you to check your work in advance and avoid making mistakes, for instance, because you will know when this is due to appear. And you can manage multiple versions of the same post, depending on which account you want to post it to. So it's really a way to be organized, and that really is quite important, especially when, as we know, we are on several social media channels, not only one. But in any case, and obviously, as we now, coming to the end, and as a conclusion, having a fundraising strategy helps pull all these elements together. Your donation page and your supporter journey, your email marketing, your social media activity, all of that together enables you to basically have an action plan for bringing more money. It can also, it attracts new donors, retain existing ones, and can convert passive supporters into active doers. What we will say, though, that trust is the key element to a successful online engagement with your supporters. Small tweaks really can help you supercharge that. And there's a lot of resources to help on our website, on the .org Learning Centre, and other partners' website. So yeah, that's it for me. I hope that some of it was helpful for you, and I'm ready for the questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Wow, a lot of content in there. Really interesting.
A lot, yes.
Yeah, it's a massive subject, and I know it's close to people's hearts. So thank you so much for that. I can see we've had a few questions in the Q&A section already, so perhaps we can dive straight into those. And then if anyone's put any other questions in the webinar chat, if we could make sure that they're in the Q&A section, then we can do our best to try and get those answered. And if there's anything that really resonates with any of you, then please do upvote any of the questions. You just need to click on the thumbs up icon, and then it will upvote it automatically, and we can have a look at that. So without further ado, let's have a look and have so what's the first one? Okay. So Heidi is asking, can you advise resolution when our Facebook account was hacked and Facebook was useless? We're a small charity. Oh, that's so painful. And lost 500 followers in the week before the big give Christmas. Oh gosh, that's not good.
That must be really, really distressing. Unfortunately, unfortunately, Meta and Facebook can be powerful tools, but they can also be, a little bit difficult to navigate when there's an issue. We do have some resources about, how to make the best use of the Facebook fundraising tools. Unfortunately, I can't say much other than, chasing, Meta as being the parent company here, to ensure that they unblock you. Hopefully they have been, well, as I can see, Facebook was useless, but unfortunately, because they are also the ones that can unlock a hacked account. Unfortunately, it's about having the patience. That said, there may be perhaps other platforms that can help, and I'd be quite interested to know whether you were able perhaps to contact some of your supporters and explain them the situation, whether you were able to share that your Facebook account was hacked and you couldn't carry on your activity as you were hoping to, because I think again showing the transparency, showing we're doing everything we can to solve the solution, to find a solution, but we've been hit with that. Sharing it on other emails, on your website, perhaps hopefully that has helped mitigate the impact. But I'm really sorry to hear that, because sometimes it feels like you're talking to a wall, really.
Not great. Thank you, Lisa. We've had a couple of really popular ones that have been upvoted. One of them is, what do you think about the wording of the Donate Now button? Do you think that makes a difference, or do you think that support us is better, or is that too soft in wording?
Support us might be a bit too soft. The word now, it implies urgency. You do it, you need to do it now, kind of thing, rather than I'd like to support you maybe in the future. So supporters might be perhaps other ways that people can support you, perhaps I don't know, donating clothes if you have or items if you have a charity shop, or volunteering. But the donate now is clear. We need your your support in your donation, your money support, because we are doing that to enable us to carry on fighting for the cause, or helping with the cause, and we need it now. So I'd say donate now is more powerful. You can also test. I don't know your audience, but usually that's what works best. And hopefully testing with the donate now button can help you get some good results and more funds.
Great, thank you. Another popular one is related to whether there's any data around whether it's beneficial to include more context to donation amounts on the donate form, e.g. a tenner will pay for X, Y, and Z.
Yes, there is. So unfortunately, I don't remember the exact thing, but we will put that in the resources tab. We wrote about it, and we have there's several research that shows that, again, just showing what donation makes has a lot of impact. I think there's a American-based organization, I think it's the Malaria Foundation, but I might be wrong, that is usually used as a key example. They show, okay, this is what your donation will do. It will buy 10 nets and protect 20 kids. And it has been proved that because it brings it home a little bit, it helps you visualize, that has a little bit more impact. But we'll put some more articles, links to that in the resource.
Brilliant, thank you. Probably got time for one, potentially another two. Another one is, would you oh, I've lost it on the screen. The screen's just jumped for me. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Would you encourage charities to have different methods of payment? Is that the one?
Yes, it is.
If possible, yes, definitely. So if you can speak with your website or the donation page provider, and ask them what options they support, because a lot of people now will be using Apple Pay, Google Pay. Remember that many people will possibly visit your website using their mobile, and they will not have the time to take out perhaps their card. So if there's an option for Google Pay where they can literally pay in 1 or 2 clicks, then that's even better.
Brilliant, thank you. Oh, an interesting one. Do you think charities are moving away from X /Twitter since Elon Musk took over? What's your thoughts on that one?
Yes, we're saying that even ourselves at Charity Digital, we're still there, but having a very minimal presence. Since the recent events, even in the UK, I think a few more infrastructure charities have taken the step to leave X. Yeah, when it comes
Brilliant.
to ethics, when it comes to moderation, it's highly, it's highly, questionable whether, whether it brings a lot of quality, contributing in a qualitative way to debate. So if you are able to perhaps keep a minimum presence, depending again whether you get lots of interaction on X, then maybe it might be probably one of the platforms to really consider whether you want to leave it or not. But yeah, I'd say look, some charities are leaving.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think we can squeeze one more in. Alexia's asked, what email design tools would you recommend for emails to be sent from your own email, such as Gmail?
Right. So, if possible, Alexia, and I know that perhaps it might not be possible financially, I would highly recommend you to move to perhaps MailChimp or an email marketing platform, mainly because you are more likely to be whitelisted, rather than if it's perhaps a Gmail address, you might be counted as spam. So that's something perhaps to consider here. Other than that, Canva is great. It's free for nonprofit, up to 50 seats, I think, or 25 seats. So Canva is what we use, what you've seen in the presentation. I made it using Canva, so you can create great graphic. The other one is Adobe Express. So yes, those are the two options that we could recommend. But we'd highly recommend to perhaps look at an email marketing platform, to help you deal with your unsubscribes, to help you deal with being whitelisted. Yeah, it will make it easier.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Gosh, I'm afraid we're out of time. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you once again, Lisa, and to
Thank
everyone
you.
that's attended. Great to see all the questions coming in. If we'll be popping a link to feedback form on the chat, so we'll have that pasted into the chat. We'd really appreciate it if you could just spend a minute or two, just so that we can continue to keep improving these sessions and just make sure that we're hitting the mark with you guys. That would be super helpful. And then finally, just a little note just to say that our next webinar, closely linked actually, is about how to use automation to build meaningful donor connections. So a nice segue into this area. Yeah, exactly. So the webinars are obviously also free, so that's coming up soon, so we'll pop that into the chat, and then we also have a ticketed in-person event on AI. I know Lisa mentioned AI earlier on in the presentation. So that's at Resource for London in October, so we'll pop some details on. But other than that, thank you ever so much. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Hope it was helpful to some of you. Obviously, we'll put all the resources and the links to our partners' website as well for you to check. Everything is free, so yeah, that's the most important. That knowledge is free, resources are free for you to access and hopefully help you raise more funds.
Brilliant stuff. Lovely. Thank you. Well, have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks very much.
Thank you.